Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having a great start to your weekend. Students, this class we are looking at an IELTS speaking. Specifically, we're looking at part 2, the cue card, the long part. And this cue card will be focusing on skills that you learn at school. So school knowledge. This is a members chat class. Everybody's welcome to watch. If you'd like to become a member of the channel, click the join button next to the subscribe button. And it's good to watch this class because we have a speaking part 3 class after this one where everybody can join the chat. Hi Silviana, hi Chayani. Nice to see our members in the class, nice and early. Students, this is the cue card that we're looking at. Let me show you real quick so you can start thinking about it, thinking about the vocabulary and the answers. Here we go. So this cue card is IELTS speaking part 2. About 5 minutes into your IELTS speaking section, the examiner will say that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these questions, think about your answers, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. You can take notes in this 1 minute time if you wish. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. And then you read the questions. So you should say, what was the idea? When and where did you learn it? Who taught it to you? How have you used it in your life? Okay, so look at those questions. Start thinking about some useful ideas that you learned in school. And then we will go through this step by step, create a Band 9 level response, and we will give a chance to our members and our viewers to answer this cue card with their own answers. I will give you a band score estimate and some feedback. Students, this lesson and lessons like these are brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there for general IELTS. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that we use for these lessons. We will use the websites today to talk to our students. This is our academic IELTS website here at aehelp.com. You can click this big red button that's just right above my head there to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS exam preparation. We have IDP affiliation. We're partnered with British Council. And if you see the red button in your region or in your country, you can even register for your IELTS exam through our websites. If you would like to get some motivation, some encouragement, check out our success stories. We've got lots and lots of students daily who are passing the IELTS exam by using our materials. So check those out. Lots of lovely people, lovely faces. Here is our general IELTS website at gieltshelp.com. Green background. Click that big red button there. Okay, that's the general version. The speaking is the same for both academic and general IELTS. It's both an interview, the same interview, same types of questions. So the listening and the speaking sections are the same, but the reading and the writing sections are unique to general or academic IELTS. So be sure that you know which version of the exam you need to take. And you can use this code SOUND9 for a 10% discount on the website. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. By the way, for those of you who may have had some difficulty with the apps or loading the website, that should all be fixed now. So Romelia, I'm not sure if you tried the app in the last 24 hours, but it should be all good on your end now as well. We're always working hard to upgrade our products, bring you the latest, the greatest, the fastest technologies. So if you're having any difficulties, just send me an email. Let us know. We've got a great team here working around the clock to bring you the best IELTS studies possible. Students, we have our schedule for December 17th to the 24th, all the way to Christmas Eve. So today we've got speaking part 2, and then this class will be followed by speaking part 3. So even if you're not a member, again, it's a good idea to hang around, watch the lesson, or at least listen, just so you get some good information for the next lesson. Speaking part 3 is very much tied to speaking part 2. That means it's connected. For those high bands, band 7, 8, 9, you want to really strongly connect your your part 2 and your part 3 ideas and responses. All right? Oh, Fuang, no worries. You've made it before. We're getting deep into the questions, so it's all good. 18th to 21st, no class, and then 22nd to the 24th, we will have 5 more classes for you, so lots of classes coming up. And of course, you can always check out our latest videos that are up on YouTube. There's one for you there. I just put it into the chat. Let's get back to this IELTS speaking part 2 cue card. So again, step number 1, read the card carefully, okay? So speaking part 1 will be some questions that are general, that everybody should be able to talk about: hobbies, sports, music, math, reading, tables and chairs that we had earlier this week. And then the examiner says that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will ask you, or I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to prepare your answers. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Okay. What was the idea? When and where did you learn it? Who taught it to you? How have you used it in your life? Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. So your first step, students, is you identify the category. Are you talking about a person, a place, an event, an idea, or an object? What are we talking about here, students? Let's move along nice and steady so we have lots and lots of time for practice for everybody. Fuang says we're talking about an idea. Yeah, we are. I mean, it says in the question, right? So don't make it more difficult than it needs to be. It says, what was the idea, right? It's a useful idea that you learned in school. Okay. There you go. So it's an idea. All right, so before we even begin thinking about some ideas that we learned in school, let's just remember what we need for ideas. When we're talking to a person and we're telling them about an idea, what kind of information is important to include? Sarah, thank you for letting Fennel know about the emails. Yeah, Fennel, just take a look at Sarah's response there regarding emails where you can contact me. Okay, so Remelia says the idea itself. Yeah, okay, so the idea itself, we're going to describe it. Sure. So what the idea is, right? Remelia, I agree. And then Fuang says the time and the location of the idea. Sure. Okay, those are important points. Yeah, Fuang, description, idea. Yeah, Romelia says the place, the location is the place. Romelia, time. Okay, what else? So describing the idea, the time, the location. There's another point here. When you think about describe time and location, think about the... Yeah, it's tough to remember all of these, right? There's just so many points, and people, places, objects, events, ideas, they're all a little bit different. So keep that in mind, okay? It sounds more like you're thinking of an event in this case. Events and ideas are kind of close, okay? They're kind of close, but they're not the same. All right? Chayani, purpose is okay, but that's a little bit later. All right? Think about the origin of the idea, okay? So Where did the idea come from? All right. And it's not necessarily the time and location. It's kind of like what spawned the idea. What was the reason for this idea, right? Where did it really come from? Okay. And then, the purpose, right? Chayani, absolutely. The purpose of the idea. So what does it solve, right? What does it provide? What does it solve? So often ideas are solutions to challenges, problems, situations, right? So what does it solve? What does it provide? What's the purpose of it, right? What else? There's another piece here. And think business plan. So if you think about it this way, okay, and I think this is a good way to think about it. We often have lots of business students in the class. So when you have an idea for part 2, you can kind of think about it like a business plan, because that's actually what a business plan is. A business plan is an idea that's structured and explained. Right? So when you create a business plan, all you're really doing is you're explaining an idea, a very specific idea, which has the purpose of providing products, services, and profit, any one of those combinations. Do you agree? Yeah, everybody? When you're business students out there, when you make a business plan, really what you're doing is you're taking an idea, and then when you have that idea, the goal of it is to give structure to it so your audience, your investor, your business partner can understand it, can make sense of it, can build something from it, right? Yes, everybody. Rakwea Fuang Chayani says yes, absolutely. So when you're making a business plan, if it helps to think about it this way, okay, you think about, the description of that business idea, the time, the location, the origin, what spawned it. So what is it doing? The purpose of it? What does it solve? And then what else? So what else would you need to include in that business plan? Right? So let's say I want to open up a coffee shop. My idea is to open a coffee shop to make money. What else? This is an important one, and a lot of people forget this. And if part 2 IELTS is about an idea and you remember this, it will give you some really good information, which of course will help to bump up your band score. So we've got, we're going to describe the idea. That's pretty quick, right? Here's my idea. At time, that's going to be pretty quick. This is when I learned or thought of the idea. The location, that's pretty quick too. Now the origin, it's a little bit more, a couple sentences, right? So this is the reason for the idea. This is why it was taught in this case, because it's from school. The purpose, right? So this idea will, okay. And then what else? What else do we need for an idea? There's a couple more. We're missing some very important ones. Don't forget the question. So the question was, when and where did you learn it? Okay, that's time and location. What was the idea? That's the description. Who taught it to you? That's kind of the origin. How have you used it in your life? Okay, we haven't actually identified that. Reason, Fuang, is the purpose. The one that's often, interestingly, forgotten by people easily is requirements. Okay, so what does the idea need, right? So when you're creating a business plan, you have to have a very clear description of what the idea or what the plan needs to be reality. What kind of tools, investments, people, HR, right? So the requirements of the idea. What does this idea need to become reality, right? So think about that. That's a good one. Okay, and we'll give you a couple of nice, useful, good sentences in English to help you explain further, right? Fuang says improvements. Yeah, before improvements, and I don't know if anybody said this, is the results, right? So results and then feedback and improvements. Okay, so all of these ideas you can fit into a 2-minute speech. "90 seconds, 92, let's say 120 seconds, right? Especially because here you can see that the question is past tense. What was the idea, right? So it's very important in part 2 to pay attention to the tense in the question. So here we have learned, right? It's past tense. Was the idea, it's past tense. Where did you learn it? So we're using a lot of past tense, past perfect, present perfect, right? So tenses used. So past, past continuous, past perfect. So we're using all those tenses, and you might even want to use a little bit of direct or indirect quotations. From your teacher, right? So who you learned it from. Okay, so think about those different grammar forms that become useful. Now, this is happening very quickly, students, so this should happen in just a matter of a couple of seconds as soon as you see the question. So as soon as the examiner says, now we will continue with part 2, talk about a useful idea that you learned in school, you should immediately be thinking, okay, this is an idea, description, time, location, origin, requirements, results, improvements. You should immediately be thinking about that for your notes, okay? And of course, you should realize immediately that, okay, this is past tense, past perfect. I had learned about this in chemistry, or I had learned about this in business class. Okay, so immediately you're thinking about those tenses. All right. Okay, so we've got that the category is an idea. We've got that this is past. Now we think of some good ideas, right? So think of 2 to 3 possible answers to discuss, okay? Now here, I want to give you a little tip before we get ahead of ourselves. Don't overthink it, okay? So don't try to come up with an answer like, I got the idea to build a nuclear fission reactor from my chemistry class, and then talk about building your nuclear fission reactor to solve all the energy problems on Earth. Although it's a lovely idea, it might be extremely difficult. So, and you don't need to come up with very unique ideas like this. So think about 2 to 3 possible answers to discuss. Keep it relatively simple, but unique and easy to talk about. Okay. So, Harpreet, good luck on your test tomorrow. Okay, I'm sure you'll do fine. I will keep my fingers crossed that you do well. Students, what are some ideas that you learned in school? Some good ideas that you learned in school which have helped you in life? Okay. Give me some answers. Think about your school days. Think about your everyday life. Think about what you do. You maybe think of an idea that you didn't learn in school, but you adapt it. You think, okay, well, here's a good idea that I learned, but it wasn't in school. Well, that's okay. Just pretend like Mr. Smith taught you that idea in school in grade 9, right? Okay. Chayani says time management maybe. Okay, Chayani, you can't be wishy-washy, okay? You can't be uncertain. So if it's time management, then you need to say it very clearly, okay? So time management in life skills class, right? Okay, so, and Chayani, that's good, that's great. Just be confident, okay? Silviana says leadership skills. Yep, in maybe business class. Grade 12. Okay, sure. All right. Fuang says teamwork. Yeah, we don't have to overthink it, right? Fuang, exactly. Teamwork in PE. Anybody know what PE stands for? What does PE stand for? Anybody? Means physical education. It's your gym class. Okay. Sarah says like sports classes. Yeah, it's not peer education. It's physical education. Yes. Okay. All right. Anybody learn any stock investing? Business class. It's a good one to learn. Or financial management. I hope one day they teach these skills in school, right? Financial management in career development class, maybe. Okay. All right, good. So we've got some good ones here, students. Let's just vote. I'll let you vote on these this time. So let me do it this way. So we'll do time management as 1, leadership skills is 2. Teamwork in PE, we'll make that 3. Stock investing 4. Financial management 5. So we've got 5 good ideas here that can work for the answer. Give me a number, students. Which one would you like to develop for this part 2 cue card? And then we'll go through the remaining steps, the taking the notes, getting our first sentence ready, and then developing an answer based on your vote. So put your votes in, lock them in, and then we'll go with that one. Okay? If we get a very diverse vote, then we'll try to make a decision. So far, 5's got 2. All right. 3's got 2 votes. Let's see if anybody's going to be the tiebreaker here. All right. 1's got 2 votes. 4's got 2 votes. All we're doing is getting just more of a split now. Anybody want to break that split? 2's got 2 votes. Well, there's something less than or more than just kind of funny about that. So notice how when you're voting for these different answers, when you have a split like this, it probably means you have a few good ideas, right? So you have to think about, okay, well, which one's the easier one to talk about, right? So Sarah says things were easier without voting. Sometimes it is, right, Sarah? Especially when votes are not unanimous. But when you have votes like this and you're voting for different ones, then it means, you're probably thinking, well, a lot of these are really good. So let's choose financial management, okay? I think that's a good one. All right. So we'll do number 5. It looks like some of the crowd is leaning towards that. So we'll do number 5. And then, when you have time at home, you can always practice with some of the other topics and see which ones work better. So yeah, I think financial management is good. What kind of vocabulary comes to mind when you think of financial management? Give me some vocabulary. So before we do our notes, you can check your vocabulary, okay? So one good trick before you decide is to check your vocab for your answer topic. This means think about relevant words that should be used when discussing this idea in this case, okay? So financial management, what should you think about? So investing, yes, that's an easy one, everyone, because we have the word investing right here, right? I've given you that word, so hopefully everybody's got that in their mind. Okay, Fuang, very good. Budget. Money. Yep. What else? Income, expense. Very good, Ira. Very good, Silviana. Income, expense. Yep. What else? Loss, sure. Okay. Any other words that come to mind with financial management? One that comes to mind for me is diversify, right? Revenue, yes, very good. Raquea, very good. I would even go as far as net and gross profit. Okay, net and gross profits, nice. Okay. Needs and wants. Okay. Good. Right? Financial management in a big way is separated between our expenses that are our needs and our expenses which are the wants. Okay. Okay. Romelia says we can even think of some idioms like make ends meet. Yes, there's a lot of idioms involved with financial management. Okay, good. So as long as you can think of these words, you're on the right path. So if you have these words in mind and you're like, okay, I've got these words in mind, then you're okay. All right, so now we want our notes. And the notes should follow the same path as the parts of ideas, right? So here, we said, okay, this is all we need for an idea, right? We need to think about these different pieces, okay? So here we want to describe the idea. We want to know the time of the idea. We want the location. We want the origin of the idea. We want the purpose of the idea, the requirements of the idea, okay? And then the results and feedback and improvements, okay? So these are the notes. So in that 1 minute time, you're taking some notes. Now, of course, you don't have or you shouldn't waste your time to write all these words when you're doing your notes. So to help you remember these, make a short form like D, right? And T, even without the brackets. L, okay? So keep it short form, and then 1 or 2 pieces of notes. So here, describing the idea, financial management. Now, I don't need to write that down because that's my idea. I know what that is, right? Why do I want financial management? Instead of that, let's think about, a little bit of a description of financial management. Okay, so what describes financial management? Okay, how would you describe it? So basically dictionary definition, right? What is financial management? What's the difference between just using money and financially managing money, right? That's a good question for everybody to think about in their life. Okay, Romelia says the ability to deal with money. So, yeah. Effective use of money. Yeah, okay, Sarah, very good. I like that one as well. Control money. Right? Okay, so control money, effective use of money. So don't write down words that are automatically in your head. That's one of the mistakes that a lot of students make is in their notes. A lot of students write down what is already in their head, and then of course their notes are useless, right? So often IELTS candidates write down obvious information which is useless as notes. Notes should be information that helps you expand ideas and give details. Okay, so go always one step further. Okay, I see this all the time where people write down notes and then they never look at their notes because what they're writing down is obviously in their head. Does that seem familiar for everybody? Okay, does everybody know what I'm talking about there? Like a lot of times when they say, okay, your 1 minute preparation time begins now, you can take notes, and then people start writing down things like financial management. Okay. And it's like, well, that's your idea. Why did you need to write that down? You're going to obviously start with that, so I don't think you need to write it down. But if you write down control money, then when you get stuck for ideas, you can look at it and you go, I have been controlling money much better ever since I have learned this information in school, right? Okay, so the time, exactly the same thing, right? You don't write down in school, okay? And you don't write down grade 12, because you will probably remember those two pieces of information in school, grade 12. So what was the time? Give me a piece of information for time that can actually help you to speak more and more fluently in your part 2 response. So what would be a good piece of information to write down time? Okay. Let's see if you come up with some ideas. This is where you want to be very visual too, okay? So maybe you'll say something like 2019, May. There you go, look at that, right? So yes, Romelia, you want to be quantitative, absolutely. Okay, so May 2019, just before summer break, okay, just before you get your summer job, you're making money, right? You now have the tool needed for financial management, the fundamental tool of money, right? So notice how here it's one step beyond just saying grade 12, high school, right? What I automatically remember. And I remember summer job, okay, so I'm starting to get money. So now it's useful information, right? Location. So where was this idea from? All right. Again, you might not even take notes here. So you might say, okay, business class. Sure. All right. Or life skills. Something that's maybe not as obvious. Life skills class. It's a special class, right? All right. The origin of the idea. So where does this idea come from? Okay, think about that. So, what's the purpose? So we remember the teacher. We can write down a name, especially if we're making it up. So we might want to say something like Miss Withers. Okay. There, Miss Withers. Sure, Miss Withers, the teacher. Fine. Okay, so, but what's the origin of the idea? Why would you learn this idea? Okay, so think about it. You're in grade 12. Okay, again, always go one step beyond. Why would Miss Withers teach this to grade 12 students? So you wouldn't write this down, but this is the question that should be in your head. So what's the origin of the idea? Why would Miss Withers teach this information at this point? Why not teach it to the grade 2 class or the grade 5 class? Okay, why teach it to the grade 12 class? Raquel says, Mr. Eric, sure. So that's where this idea is coming from, and why are they teaching it? What's the origin? Why are they bringing up this lesson? Of course, as you can tell, students, I'm promoting your critical thinking here, right? There's logic to this, right? There's logic to curriculum. So So just before people, right, or students become earners, right? So it's about the age of, well, different people at different times, but a large part of society from about the age of 17, 18 starts to handle money. I actually hope that people would learn this earlier, but anyway. What's the purpose? So these are the big ones. These are the ones that you talk more and more about in your response. So what is the purpose, right, of financial management? So ones that come to mind for me very quickly are wealth, stress-free, quality of life, okay, development, right? All of those. Requirements. What do you need? What do you need to do for this idea? Fast, students, fast. So you only have 1 minute to prepare. Your brain has to move quickly. Sylviana says to help weather recession, maybe, but hopefully even more than that, Sylviana. Cup is half full, right? Okay, so the requirements for financial management. Well, you're going to need, what do you need to have financial management? You obviously need to budget, but again, that's something that you're not necessarily going to write down because that should come to mind, right? So budget is fine. What are some physical? Think about hardware, software that you need. All right. I think, Chen, what you were trying to say there is money to get married, right? Maybe. Okay, what do you need? So I would say you need a spreadsheet, right? An income and expenses spreadsheet. Raquea says laptop is a good idea. Yep. Now, Raquea, again, a laptop, a computer is something that you will remember, right? So you need a spreadsheet. Regular attention. All right. The first of each month, 2 hours, right? So I would write something like that down, right? Results, more money, sure, but diverse portfolio. Sure. So you've got a diverse portfolio. You're able to do fun activities, and you've got university budget. All right. Feedback and improvements. Okay. Maybe learning stock investing. Okay. So again, you don't have tons of time. 1 minute is 60 seconds. It's not no time, so it's not short time. A lot of people think 1 minute is not enough for anything, right? That's not true. As long as you know what you're doing and you go step by step, 1 minute is a significant amount of time. Just think about all the information we can say in 1 minute. In 1 minute, you can say a lot of information, and the brain is even faster than when we're speaking. So 1 minute, 60 seconds, it's a good amount of time, but it's definitely not enough time to go off track, to zone out, to get nervous and get confused. So you do have to stay on track and you have to be productive, right? So these are the ideas that should come to mind, and then you get your first sentence ready. Okay, this is very important, everybody. Make sure to get your first sentence ready before your examiner starts your 2-minute speaking response time. Okay, very important. So, what should be our first sentence here? I'm going to write down my first sentence. You do the same, and then we will compare. Fennel says, happy weekends. I'm not sure if financial management, but yeah, sure. Okay, So So here's my direct answer, okay? Again, this is for everybody watching. When you do speaking part 2, members, go ahead and write your first sentence while I give all of our viewers some further instructions here. So for all of you who are joining in right now, this is the part 2 cue card, okay? Talk about a useful idea you learned in school. What was the idea? When and where did you learn it? Who taught it to you? How have you used it in your life? Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Unfortunately, there is a lot of bad information on the internet about what you should do in the IELTS exam. This includes the speaking and some instructions online say that for part 2, you should do this kind of like general introduction, like, well, thank you for letting me talk about this topic. There are lots of useful ideas that I have learned in school throughout my schooling from grade 1 to grade 12. But the idea that comes to mind and the idea that I would like to talk about today is, what? You just wasted 30 seconds of your 2 minutes, 25%. And if you do that, the examiner might not even let you speak, probably won't let you speak for the full 2 minutes, because you sound like a recorded robot that somebody taught you to do on the internet, and they're going to go, okay, band 5, let's go keep going. So you can't do that kind of an introduction. Everybody can do that introduction. It doesn't get you marks. It doesn't get you band scores, okay? Just because you learn a template online doesn't mean you can speak English. They can't give you a band 7, which is a good user of English, if you sound like a template, okay? I can start an AI on the internet and they can also do that. Doesn't mean they have good English. Fuang says, recorded robot band 5.0. Yes, exactly. So you have to start with a direct answer, okay? That's what the examiners want to hear. They want to hear your direct answer. They want you to sound like you, not like a million other people watching YouTube videos that teach templates. Okay, so we've got some really good ones here. Here we go. Let me just copy all of these in. I literally just did a mass copy here. So there, boom. Okay, let me increase the size on that. And we'll go through this. All right. Raquea says, a great idea that I learned in my high school in August 2015 is financial management. Raquea. Bam, that's great. Okay. Yeah, it's a great start. Fennel says, an idea that I learned, excuse me, students, just at the end of that. My voice is definitely back now. Just at the end. Okay, an idea that I learned a few years back, not in a few years back, Fennel, but a few years back. Okay, careful with those. So an idea that I learned a few years back when I was in my 12th grade, you got a missing word there, class, is financial management. So Fennel, good, but make sure you're not making any mistakes in the first sentence, okay? It sounds bad, so check for mistakes before you start, okay? Okay, Fuang says, an efficient idea. Efficient idea is okay, Fuang. Effective is more common. So an effective idea that I had a chance to learn in high school was financial management skills. They're usually plural, financial management skills. Okay, so try to sound really natural and accurate. Okay, Sylviana says, the most useful idea that I learned in school was financial management. I learned, let's not repeat the learned. Let's try to use a synonym for this, Sylviana. So I acquired this knowledge when I was a high school student in 2020 before graduation. Good. 2 sentences there, but fantastic. Yeah, they'll start you off, Sylviana, so that's good. Try not to repeat words, right? That's the other big trick, is try to use a variety of vocabulary. Okay, good. Nice. Nice start, everyone. I like those. All right. Chayani says, an essential idea that I studied in secondary school was financial management or financial management skills. Yeah, we usually use plural again, students. Chen, a crucial information I learned in my business class back in 2015 May before our internship. Before my, okay, Chen, keep everything me, my for part 2 when it's about you. My internship during my high school was financial management from Professor Hennessy. Okay, good. All right, Chen, that's fantastic. Keep it to yourself. Me, my, I. Okay. Students, very important. Me, my, I. Okay, so far so good. So now you just go through the notes. Okay, so here's my first sentence. So now the examiner says, okay, your time is up. Please begin speaking. So a great idea that I learned in May of 2019, just before my summer job, was financial management in my life skills class at Victoria Secondary School. I had the fortune of learning this vital information from Miss Withers. Just before graduation and getting my first real job. Okay. Of course, Miss Withers had good foresight and knew that many of us would become earners in a short time, and I could make great use of knowing how to handle money effectively. Okay, so you're probably thinking, well, what's going on here, Adrian? You're just flying along like you're reading a book. I am reading a book. I'm reading the book that's already in my head from thinking about the idea and from thinking about the notes, right? So control of money, effective use of money. Before my summer job, in my life skills class, I'm literally going through my notes and I'm checking off these points in this order. Okay. So I've checked off these 4 points. Okay. Now, any moment in time that I get stuck, I just refer to my notes, and I'm going in this way. It is very important, students, to practice this kind of linear up to down method for using your notes. Because if you don't practice this and you're just kind of jumping around your notes, like just randomly checking them off, it's much more difficult. It's much more confusing. It's much less coherent. So when you're practicing your IELTS and you're practicing your IELTS speaking and using your notes, I really, really, really strongly advise you to practice building this linear format. Okay, so top to bottom. Everybody got that? That's another very important piece of advice for doing well. I mean, I guess one way you can think about this is if you're doing a presentation, and probably some of you have done like a presentation for a class or at some organization, right? And you know, when you have a presentation, let me try to, got some Post-its here, right? So when you do a presentation, some of you probably have what's called flashcards, right? Now just imagine, I've got all these flashcards here, right? And each one has a piece of information that I want to discuss in my class or for my business partners or somebody, right? So this is kind of like your notes, right? Okay, so just imagine that you're in your presentation, and instead of going through your notes one at a time, right, like that, okay, imagine if you're having to do this, like, oh yeah. Just imagine your audience, or like a PowerPoint presentation, right? If you're not old school like me and you're using PowerPoint, imagine if you're not going through your slides from 1 to 10, but you're doing like a 1. Oh, let's jump to slide 7. Oh, no, let's go back to slide 4. Yep, no, oh, yep, let's do slide 11 now. Oh, yeah, and you guys can see on slide 3 here, your audience is probably going to first have some pretty big eyeballs going like, what is this person doing, right? So why would the IELTS speaking part 2 notes be any different? Why would you try to randomly jump around in the information? Doesn't make sense, right? So clearly, when you're doing your IELTS, when you're doing part 2, ideally you're going, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you forget one, it's not the end of the world. Sure, tie it in if you got more time, but you're definitely not jumping around like a madman or a madwoman, right? Okay. And I can see by your reactions, you're kind of picking up what I'm putting down, right? So linear notes, okay, linear information, all right? It's kind of weird that we don't automatically realize this when we're doing the IELTS, okay? All right, so what am I doing next? Simple, right? And it's easy to continue from where we left off. So now I'm going to talk about the purpose of the idea, the requirements, the results. Sure. Okay, and it's all here, and I can look at it and see it, okay? So, as Miss Withers clearly explained, by having good financial management skills, I would become wealthier. I would feel less stressed and enjoy a better quality of life. This has absolutely been true since adapting the knowledge I gained from her in my budgeting and investing. I have been able to not only save, but also earn enough money to enjoy my weekends with friends, and also to pay for my university tuition, books, and living expenses. In a bit more detail, I have been spending 2 hours at the start of each month on putting all of my earnings and expenses into a spreadsheet, and creating a clear investment portfolio. For the future, I plan to improve on this by learning more about real estate and stock investing. I am extremely grateful to Miss Withers for having taught me financial management in my final year of secondary school. Okay, so, and there's my full answer. All right. And now, just to be 100% sure that I'm going to get a band 9 for this part 2 cue card, I'm going to check the card again and make sure that I didn't miss any questions. Okay. So talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. What was the idea? When and where did you learn it? Who taught it to you? How have you used it in your life? Check, 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 and check. Definitely. Okay. So I've answered all of these questions. All right, let's practice this once, students, and then you're going to have a chance to give your own answers, okay? So I'm going to take volunteers. First and foremost, our members, our premium students, and then everybody else. And then we have speaking part 3 after. So first, just practice with me to improve your fluency, your speaking, your vocabulary. Okay, so here we go, everyone. Okay, speak and repeat. It's very important that you're speaking and repeating, not just listening to me. So speak and repeat. I'll try to go at a smooth but not too fast pace, okay? If you feel like I'm going slower and you feel confident in your English, then of course try to repeat me without looking at the script. If you get stuck, then look at the words, look at the writing on the screen. Here we go, everybody. 3, 2, 1. A great idea that I learned in May of 2019, just before my summer job, was financial management in my life skills class at Victoria Secondary School. I had the fortune of learning this vital information from Miss Withers just before graduation and getting my first real job. Of course, Miss Withers had good foresight and knew that many of us would become earners in a short time, and I could make great use of knowing how to handle money effectively. As Miss Withers clearly explained, by having good financial management skills, I would be wealthier, I would feel less stressed, and I could enjoy a better quality of life. This has absolutely been true since adapting the knowledge I gained from her in my budgeting and investing. I have been able to not only save, but also earn enough money to enjoy my weekends with friends and also pay for my university tuition, books, and living costs. In a bit more detail, I have been spending 2 hours at the start of each month, putting all of my earnings and expenses into a spreadsheet and creating a clear investment portfolio. For the future, I plan to improve on this by learning more about real estate and stock investing. I'm extremely grateful to Miss Withers for having taught me financial management in my final year of high school. Okay, band 9, clear, complete, good vocabulary, lots of grammar, very accurate, very original. All right, don't need to reinvent the wheel. So that's how it works. Students, let's do this. Let's practice this. Now, if you'd like, you can go with the same topic. So financial management, just maybe change it a bit, make it your own. Or you can talk about a completely different idea that you learned in school. Up to you. Hopefully some of you have been taking notes. If you haven't, take some notes. Okay, so here's the question again. Here it is. There's the question again for you. All right, IELTS speaking part 2. I'm going to hop over to our websites. Again, students, this is our general IELTS website here. This is our academic IELTS website here. You can join our premium IELTS package by clicking this big red button. If you like these classes, you want to join these regularly, subscribe to the YouTube channel, click the big red button. Make sure to go through the payment process here. You can enter the code SOUND9 for a 10% discount, okay? And then you're off to the races. So we're going to log into our My Student account here. This is aehelp.com. Sarah, if you're still in there, I'm not sure if you are, maybe you can help out with some of the instructions here for how to volunteer for speaking, especially for some of our newer members. Semra, hi, nice to see you join in with us. So go to www.aehelp.com. I'll just put the URL in here, Sarah, and then maybe you can give some more instruction. So you go to the My Student account, and then in the My Student account, you see this student partner speaking. Okay, and you click on the student partner speaking. You accept that you're responsible for your interactions. And in the student partner speaking, you've got lots and lots of students in here. That's fantastic. I see lots of you in here. By the way, if you want to book a full IELTS speaking interview practice session with me, you can do that with this speaking interview practice button that's at the top there. Okay, now we've got Vishal, Yuka, Palwasha, Angel, nice to see you in here as well. And then you can send me a ping, or you can ping me with the blue envelope. You'll see my name as Master. Okay, and then you can send me a ping. You can say, I'd like to volunteer. Okay. Let's take one of our members who's in this class right now. So if your name, students, by the way, and you're a member, doesn't match with your name on the website, make sure you tell me. Like Silviana, if your name here is different than in the website, then tell me. But Silviana, I don't think it is, because I can kind of see you here. Okay, so send me, ping me, so I know that your computer works and everything works. Okay, let's try Romelia here. She's ready. She's one of our members and premium students. So Romelia, are you ready? Romelia is very ambitious and hardworking, so we'll give her a chance, and then we've got a good amount of time, so we'll have a few volunteers today. Okay, let's do this.
Hello.
Hi, Romelia. How are you?
Not bad. I already know it's going to be a mistake because, as well as I'm not going to choose the easy way, but I hope to.
Okay. Romelia, step number 1, and this is for everybody. Confidence with a capital C. Never, if you know, there's even a saying, I can't remember how it goes, like if you plan to fail, then you will, something like that. So never plan to fail. You're going to do fantastic, Romelia, all right? Romelia, I will start you off and then give me your response. Just focus on the steps, right? Description, time, location, origin, purpose, requirements.
Yeah.
Just kind of think about those as you go through these questions in your head. and you'll be great. Okay, so here we go, Romelia. I'm going to start you off. That is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to read these. Think about your answers. You can take some notes in this 1 minute time if you wish, and then you will have 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Your 1 minute preparation time begins now. All right, a little bit of magic.
Okay.
Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
It was in October 2011 when I was doing my master in chemistry that I've learned that an idea, namely that I always should aim high in order to succeed. This idea came from a teacher of mine, an university teacher, during a lecture, and he was obvious that had solid knowledge of personal development, but in layman's terms, explained to us that it's better to aim high than stay locked at the second floor without being able to admire the glorious view. Then if you aim high, you can be on the rooftop and admire it. Yeah. During now in hindsight, I could say that I've applied this idea even with my IELTS exam. I'm very aware that sorry, my connection was. Yeah, I'm aware that my level of English should be improved, but even so, I aim for a high band. Why not? And this is the right way to reach your full potential.
Okay, your time is up. I will stop you there, and we will now continue with part 3. Okay. Okay, so let me give you a bit of feedback here. So this would be about a band 6.5, Romelia. It's fluent and it's between good and fluent. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of feedback, okay, on what you can do. So it's between fluent and good. There's some missing pieces. You said it was in October 2011 when I was doing my master in chemistry when I learned an idea, namely to always aim high in order to succeed. Okay, good. So the idea that you learned was to always have high goals, right?
Yeah. Being stuck to little objectives, easy to achieve in your comfort zone.
Okay. So first of all, keep it all to I, me, my. There were a couple of times when you switched to the you, if you aim high. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, this is for all of our viewers. You always want to stay with the I, me, my, because as soon as you start talking about you, now you're telling the examiner the idea that they should do it, not you did it, and you have to do it. So, so you don't want to switch between the I and the you. Okay. Also, Romelia, when you've got this idea going, you need to really kind of think about the details of the purpose, the requirement, the origin. So here, for instance, if I think about the origin, Romelia, right? So where this idea comes from. Where does this idea come from? Remember with my example, I said that if you're watching the screen, you'll see it here. So I said that, of course, Miss Withers had good foresight and knew that many of us would become earners. So many of us would be making money in a short time, right? Okay, so your professor in your university chemistry class, what is the reason, what is the origin of him giving you this idea to aim high? Why do you think he gave all of you this idea?
to reach our full potential as the budding scientist.
Very
Uh,
nice. To
to
reach your full
to be
potential as budding scientists. And also, the contra, the opposite, is many people tend to have low self esteem or to be pessimistic. They don't aim high. They're like,
be
okay,
more
I'm going to.
confident, self-confident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of people they aim low. They're like, I'm going to finish my degree and I'll get a job at a pharmacy and then I'll be a pharmacist for the rest of my life, right? So, and he's trying to say, don't just do that. Be a scientist, invent new medications, create new methods for
Dare to
chemistry,
dare
right?
to to be
Okay,
creative.
and then the other point, Romelia, is use those numbers. Okay, so even in this IELTS exam, although I know it's very challenging to get a band 9, that is my goal. I want that perfect band 9
Uh-huh.
expert user of the English language. So use those numbers, quantify it, especially when you're talking about an idea to aim high, right? So after graduating with my master's, my goal was to earn $100,000 in my first year, inventing new types of medications at a company. And indeed, now I work as a top level researcher for an international pharmaceutical firm. You see how I'm.
Yeah. You know what? I haven't allowed me not even that minutes to prepare. I I paid attention to your idea, but I came up with my idea when you were calling me. You're
Right.
calling me.
So that's a bit of a tip for everybody who's listening right now, because I know some people are like, "Oh, it's not my turn. I'm just watching the ceiling, or I'm
Yeah.
starting to play on my phone and text my friend." Use the time when we're talking to other students to build your ideas, build your notes. If you're doing that, great. If you're not doing that, you
Yeah.
might be in for a surprise, especially if
I
you're
wanted to
volunteering.
think on my foot and yeah.
Okay, well, Romelia, thank you so much for sharing that idea. Okay, and again, try that idea again. So try that response again, but give it more detail, give it more numbers. Okay.
Was a stupid one. Never mind.
I thought it was a good idea. I thought it was a good idea to have high goals, high hopes. I think that's a great response. You just have to build it out a
Okay.
little bit more. Okay, bye, Romelia.
Bye bye. Thank you.
All right, everybody. All right, I'm going to refresh my page to get our next volunteer. So please refresh your page also if the WebSocket's closed for you. And then I will reach out to another student here. Okay, I don't think it has for everybody. So, okay, here we go. Let me try Raquea. Raquea is another one of our members and premium users of the course. Students in the next class, everybody will be able to join as well. So, Raquea, are you ready? Let's see if Raquea is here with us. And let's see if Raquea has thought of an answer, taken some notes, right, Raquea? And going through those steps. Okay, Raquea.
Hello,
Hi, Raquea. How are you?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for asking. Raquea, I'm going to start you off for this part 2 cue card. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, so here we go. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Okay, a great idea that I learned in my high school in August 2015 was financial management. I had the gold mine to learn in the class of life skill. I had learned it from Mr. Eric in my SM secondary school. He is the best teacher in my high school, so I have adapted this skill since my teenage, and now I am the most money saver in my house. Not only it is good for quality of life, but also it is good for my stress-free mind. He is taughting us because now we are in an age that we can earn and save money, so that he is building skills so we can earn and save money for a quality life. I have been spending 2 hours at the start of each month on putting all my earnings and expenses into a notepad. So I am grateful to Mr. Eric for taught me this beautiful and money saving idea.
Okay. That is the end of part 2. We will now continue with part 3. Okay, that was fast, Raquea. So, Raquea, good. You're practicing what we practiced in class, and that's smart. Okay, it's good to do that because then you realize, okay, I have all the content, I have all the information. Now it's important for me to practice the English, right? So, using the right vocabulary, making sure I have good grammar, and other elements of natural speech. Okay. So
Yeah.
this would earn you about a band 6.5 as well. So just like with Romelia, it would be about the same. So you're somewhere between a fluent and good. Okay.
Okay.
Now you're probably going, why? Okay. So here the examiner is thinking, okay, good idea, accurate, coherent, but with frequent grammatical mistakes, some awkward use of vocabulary or missing vocabulary, and unnatural intonation. Okay? So
Yeah.
that's where you're losing marks to get those higher band scores. Okay. So you said, okay, a great idea that I learned in my high school in 2015 was financial management. I had the fortune of learning from Mr. A. He was the best teacher in my high school. So I practiced this skill. And you said, I am the best saver of money. And these kinds of sentences like I'm the best saver of money, it's a little bit strange. Okay. And what made it even trickier to understand exactly what you're saying or clearly what you're saying was your intonation. Okay. So what I want you to practice when you're at home and you're giving these part 2 responses is to really have a nice natural flow of intonation. So like this, okay, and even a little bit melodramatic, Raquea. When you're practicing this, be a little bit melodramatic. That means like more than natural. So like this, okay, a great idea that I learned in my high school in 2015 was financial management. Can you try that, Raquea? So let's try this really melodramatic intonation. I'm going to do it one more time, and I want you to copy me, okay? Listen and then copy. Okay, a great idea that I learned in my high school in 2015 was financial management.
Okay, a great idea that I learned in my high school in 2015 was financial management.
Was financial management.
Was financial management.
Good. Okay, now you're on the right track. So I want you to be a little bit slower and a little bit more melodramatic like this with a little bit more intonation. And I promise you that immediately your score will jump from a 6.5 to a 7 because it will just sound more natural and easier to comprehend, even if you're still making grammatical or word choice mistakes. Okay?
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right, Raquea, that was good. So next time that we're speaking, I hope to hear this melodramatic kind of intonation, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'll try.
Bye, Raquea. All right, remember that, everybody, that in English, we tend to go up and down with our voice. It's a melodic language, right? So not as melodic as Italian, for instance, or maybe Spanish is more as well, but it's definitely a melodic language. That's why people like it for music as well, right? Okay, Silviana, another one of our members. Have we heard Silviana's voice? I'm not sure. Are you there, Silviana? Are you ready? So Silviana, not a premium member, but a member of the YouTube channel nonetheless. Let's give Silviana a chance. Silviana, if you're there, let me know. By the way, I'm loving the thumbs up in the chat and the support you're giving each other. That is fantastic. That's so important, and I'm very happy to see it. Okay, everybody's pouring their hearts out It's great to see. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Silviana. How are you?
Hello, sir. I'm doing great. How about you?
That's fantastic. Silviana, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Is this the first time we're interacting?
No, this is the second time.
Second time. Okay, can you remind me
Yeah.
where you're from?
I'm from Indonesia.
From Indonesia. Okay, Silviana. Well, let's do a bit of practice with this part 2.
Okay.
So I will start you off, and then just be yourself. Nice loud voice, intonate, just like I said to Raquea, and then off you go. Remember, just stick to the strategy, right? So time, location, origin, requirements, and so on. Okay, here we go, Silviana. So that is the end of part 1. We will now continue with part 2. For this part, I will show you some questions. You will have 1 minute to think about your answers and 1 to 2 minutes to speak. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
Okay. The most useful idea that I learned in school was leadership. I acquired when I was a high school student in 2012 before graduation. At that time, my school was cooperate with one of well-known startup called Lyra to conduct a seminar in a week. One of their company representatives, called Mr. John, became our mentor during the event. I have to admit that it really has a big impact in my life, primarily at work, like how to communicate well, work efficiently in a team, and last but not least is our way of thinking to solve a problem. Actually, last month, my manager asked me to lead a campaign with a huge brand, so I need to handle a team, 10 in total. Of course, there was a bit of chaos at first because everyone has their own opinions. Therefore, every meeting, I always encourage and assure them that we must respect everyone's view because we are working as a team, not as an individual, in order to make this campaign successful. We did a lot of brainstorming and I was grateful that I could direct every one of them on the right track. Finally, the campaign was successful and it was a great experience for me because I could demonstrate all of the knowledge that I got from Mr. John and it worked well.
All right, I'll stop you there.
Okay.
Okay, just a sec. Did you make that up?
Yes, I made it. I
All right.
made it.
Was any of it real, or was it all just made up?
No, I just made up.
All right, good for you. Are you working in management?
No, actually, I'm a 3D animator, sir.
All right, well, you should be. Somebody there should promote you to management of 3D animation. That was really good. Okay, that was really good. Step by step, textbook. So that's we have an expression in English for that. It's called textbook. That was textbook. Okay. That was textbook means it was exactly what I was teaching. Okay. So a lot of great elements there. So that would be, just for everybody who's watching, that would be about a band 8.5. Okay. So between very good and expert. English and communication. I think any examiner would give you a band 8 for that. Several of them would give you an 8.5. 9, just a little bit off of a 9. There were a couple of slight grammatical mistakes or language use mistakes that would keep you from the band 9, and some examiners might say it would be a band 8 because of those. But definitely in those higher levels. I'll show you where those were. But I want to focus on the positive because, of course, we can always pick at those small little mistakes. But there were just a lot of positives going on here. So I want to show all of our viewers what those were. So here, first of all, you answered all of the questions on the card. There was no repetitive information. You used a very broad range of vocabulary, expressions, context-specific vocabulary as well. You said the most useful idea that I learned in school was leadership. Very clear, direct answer. So you didn't talk about all the ideas you learned in school. You just went right for it. And then right away, you paraphrased it. You said, I acquired it. So it was good. You, instead of saying I learned it, you said I acquired it when I was in a certain situation. And then you said that it was during a time when your school was cooperating with another school. And you didn't say teacher. You said Mr. John was a mentor. Again, using words like mentor, immediately pushing up your lexical resource mark. And then you went into those actual elements or the origin, right, of this idea is to communicate well, to work in a team, last but not least. So using some really nice connectives to form the story. And then you transferred it to real life. So you very clearly answered this question on how have you used it in real life? And that's a key question on the card, usually that one or two last questions. You said that you had to handle a team of 10. So team of 10 people, immediately quantifying the group that you're leading, right? So I could very easily, and I'm sure our viewers will agree with this and our members, we could all very easily visualize this project where you have 10 people, you're forming the team. At the beginning, you said that there's a bit of chaos. So chaos meaning disorganization, good use of that word, natural. And then you said that you were able to direct them to be on the right track. Again, very nice use of idiomatic language. If I wanted to be extremely nitpicky and give you some more advice, then I could say that, you know, during your closing sentence, you could have gone back to the original skill. So I could demonstrate all of the knowledge instead of all of the knowledge, all of the leadership skills.
Okay, sir.
Skills that I learned from Mr. John, right? And then it's very clear that you're telling the examiner again that it's not just knowledge, but it's the leadership skills, the skill, right? Other than that, there were a couple of slight word form mistakes that you can catch if you listen to this again when you watch the video. But they're very subtle. They're very small. They're very subtle. And for me, that would only be a 0.5 band. If you had those fixed, then it would be virtually a band 9. Okay, so very good, Silviana. You paid good attention to the class and you adapted it well to the skill of leadership. If you do that on your IELTS exam, you'll be just fine. Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, keep up the good work. Bye, Silviana.
Bye, sir.
All right, that was Silviana with a very good response. Let's give her a thumbs up. Obviously, really paying attention. I have a feeling she was definitely taking some notes and practicing some sentences before I gave her a call. So that's how it's done. And I'm sure all of you will agree that that was a very clear, accurate, complete response about learning leadership skills during cooperation between two schools with a teacher being a mentor in that context. Okay, so let's take another one of our members, Fuang. Let's give Fuang, I don't know who else is, let's see. If I miss you, anyone, members especially, and premium students, don't worry, I will catch you in the next class as well. So Fuang, are you ready? Let's hear Fuang. Sarah says, great job, Silviana. Yeah, absolutely. That was a lovely, lovely response. Okay, here we go. Hi, Fuang.
Oh, hi, sir. I turned on my camera. Can we call again?
Yes, I can do that. So you want to, okay, yeah, let's do that. So I'll hang up and then I'll call you again, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, here we go. One more time.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Fuang. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit better connection. Yeah, because I'm using the camera for YouTube, right? It's not, it doesn't work well if we turn on the cameras. Okay, here we go, Fuang. So I'm going to start you off. Are you ready, Fuang?
I'm ready, sir.
All right, awesome. So here we go. Talk about a useful idea that you learned in school. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking.
An effective idea that I had a chance to learn in high school were time management skills. Back in the year of 2020, when I was in the 10th grade, there were dozens of tests I had to finish on a daily basis. That drove me to exhaustion with my schoolwork. So I learned how to control my study effectively through a combination of working relentlessly and prioritizing my time. Miss Laura had good foresight, so she taught my class this skill. I see you to be the best student in her university, who only passed many vital exams with flying color. Hence, we wanted to help her to pursue our dream university, which has successful methods. Um, Through this skill, I learned how to work out what I really needed to do, and then discarded the other things. That means I had to understand the difference between urgent and important tasks in a day. Um, this way would ensure that I could focus on what really mattered and keep work flowing. I would show I had a burden of time to do everything that I needed without feeling stressed about it, which led to both a reductive and efficient lot of work and study. On a closing note, I feel uh, out of the world when I was accepted by the top 10 university in Vietnam. I'm extremely grateful to Miss Laura Matters. I always apply it in my daily life until now.
Okay, that was awesome. I'll stop you there. The examiner won't say that, by the way. Examiners are not allowed to say that was awesome or good or great. They just keep going. But I can say that because I'm teaching you right now. So that was awesome, Fong. That was really good. I'm going to explain why. So that would be a 7.5 to an 8, Fong. I think you're getting, I would give you an 8 for that, okay?
Okay, sir.
Because I think that was very good English and communication. Yeah, go ahead, Fong.
To tell you the truth, I'm practicing my pronunciation and try to speak a little slower.
I caught that. I think everybody else did too. I'm actually going to ask from our members who are watching. Did everybody notice that? Remember, I don't know. I think lots of you were here last class when I was talking to Fuang. And everybody knows I keep telling Fuang to practice pronunciation. And I think maybe some of you remember that last time I told Fuang to take a little bit more of a break when she's connecting her ideas and using the connectives so that the pronunciation comes across clearer. And it was the first part of your language that I noticed, Fuang, this time. So I noticed that you slowed up a bit. And as soon as you hit a period or a comma in your ideas, or as soon as you hit a connective word, you slowed down a little bit. And it definitely made it easier for me to clearly understand what you were saying. And that's why I'm saying that I can give you a band 8, because it was coherent. Like I could clearly understand what you're saying about this time management skills and the different ways that this helped you to achieve your important tasks following grade 10 and eventually led you to being accepted by one of the best universities in Vietnam. So it was very, very clear from start to finish. Chayani says and Dominic says also, yes, I remember. I think for everybody who's watching, they were able to understand you better this time than any time before. So Fuang, keep doing what you're doing, because that was fantastic. And I think if you keep practicing this, you're going to definitely go even higher to band 8.5 and eventually 9. Okay, so very nice work indeed. Any questions?
I are some like out of this world of flying color, which
they were good. You used them well. So I think some of it, unnecessarily, like you were mentioning how she passed her exams with flying colors. That was maybe a bit too much detail, but for example, using this one on a closing note at the end of it, that was great. And I felt out of this world when I was accepted by one of the top universities in Vietnam. I thought that was used well. And because you were speaking clearer and slower, the idioms made a lot more sense when you were using them. So that was really good, Phuong. That was really, really good. Really, really good. And it's good to practice those in these classes. In the real exam, I might cut down on them a little bit. So about 20% less of those, okay? We don't always use idioms in speech, right? So don't overdo it, okay?
Okay, sir. I got it.
All right. Okay, Phuong, keep up the good practice. That was fantastic. We'll see you next class, okay?
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. What a great job. Thumbs up for Phuong. And that's what happens when you pay attention, you follow instructions, and you adapt and you improve. Absolutely. Students, we were using the chat for this here, and just awesome, everyone. You all get a smiley face and a big A++ because you deserve it. That was awesome. And I hope that you're all going to come back for the next class, which will be speaking part 3. To all of our viewers, we're using our website, aehelp.com here, and you can certainly sign up for our premium IELTS package by clicking the big red button right there. It's a one-time payment, it's lifetime access, and there are lots of benefits to being a premium student and a member of our YouTube channel. Students, don't go too far because, again, coming up in 25 minutes, we have speaking part 3, which will be a continuation of this topic, okay? So useful life skills. And for those of you who are tuning in, check us out at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gltshelp.com for general IELTS. Use the code SOUND9 for an additional 10% discount off the premium package. Sarah, thank you for helping to manage this class. That was awesome. I'll be back soon. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria for now. See you in just under 25 minutes. Bye.